Welcome back to Coffee Cruise Chats with Sam. This is episode 7, and this is actually my second take of episode 7. I recorded this earlier at the airport, and I didn't realize how much background noise there was, so time for a retake. I look tired, I am tired, it's been a long travel day. Up since 5, flight out to Denver, and then over to Gillette, Wyoming for a work trip this week. So got into Gillette, took a 2-hour drive then to Sheridan, Wyoming, where I'll be at for the next 5 days. So episode 7 is going to be planning which port to cruise from. So there's a couple things to look at when you're looking to see what cruise you're going to take and where you're going to cruise out of. I always start with the price. So things to look at: 1, the cost of the cruise; 2, the cost of the airfare to get you there; 3, do you need a pre-stay hotel stay or a post-stay? Because those are going to add an extra cost. If you're flying, what's your baggage cost? Are you going to take a check bag? If so, is it just you and your husband, or whoever else is traveling with you? And how much is all of that going to cost? And then if there's a port within driving distance, look for a similar cruise to see if that's a price saving. So for us, from Western PA, Baltimore is I want to call it our home cruise port, or New York City is our home cruise port. We don't need to fly there, we can drive. If we do New York, I do a pre-cruise hotel stay. So that is a pretty significant cost, staying there, keeping the vehicle there for the cruise length, and then the transportation to the port. Usually I do through Trinity Reservations, and that's usually running close to $500 just for the stay, the stay for the hotel, the parking, and then the transportation. If we do Baltimore, then we sometimes do a pre-hotel stay, but most of the time we'll just drive down the morning of, park at the port, so we'll have that cost to keep in mind as well. So those two ports, when you cruise out of them, the prices are usually a little bit higher than cruising out of Florida. But with the cost of airfare that it is right now, it's usually still cheaper to do those two ports for us than it is to fly to Florida and go on a cheaper cruise if you're just looking at the cruise fare. Now, if there's a certain port that you want to go at, definitely look for that as well. You can't do it on Carnival's website. You can do a general area, like I want to do the Bahamas, or I want to do the Caribbean or Mexican Riviera. You can put those kind of search parameters in. But if you reach out to me, I actually have the ability to pick a particular port of call and find all the cruises that port of call stops at. So if you just want to go to Aruba, I can select Aruba and see every single cruise the Carnival has right now going to Aruba, which is a really cool feature that I have access to. So keep in mind, if you're looking for a particular port, reach out and I will definitely find that for you. But all of those other costs add up for your cruise budget. So looking at your cruise budget, keep all of that in mind. Some other travel hints: if you have to fly, make sure you're always flying in at least a day ahead of time. If it's a new city that you've never been to, or a new country even, see if you can add an extra day or 2 on to your pre-cruise to visit that city and check out the sites. Our Seattle one, we had an entire day and a half in Seattle before our cruise, so we got to see the highlights there, the Space Needle, the Chilili Gardens, and the glass display that's there. Pike's Market we did after the cruise because we had a later flight. When we just did Barcelona, that's the series that we're posting right now on our YouTube channel. We were there from Wednesday until the cruise left. So we had 2.5 days in Barcelona before our cruise. Needed so much more time than that to see Barcelona, but that gives me an excuse to go back. Another travel tip: your flight after your cruise. If you want to spend an extra day afterwards, you can again check out the city that you're cruising back into, if it's the same city or a different city. But if not, and you are flying home that day, make sure you're doing a flight at least after 12. Even though it might say you get into port at 7 a.m., depending on, if the Coast Guard has to clear the ship, how many people are doing the self-disembark, if there's anything else going on, if there's an inspection, sometimes that will delay things as well. So make sure you give yourself the time to get to places, and also look how far your airport is from your port. When we just cruised back into Galveston, it's an hour drive from the port to the airport that we were flying out of. And if we were going to the other Houston airport, it was an even further drive. So I would have probably pushed that one back until about 1 or 2 p.m. Flight. Speaking of flights, try to pack as light as possible. I know people like to have options, but it gets to a point where you're taking too much stuff, you're not touching half of it, and you're just carrying it along for the ride. We've gotten pretty good about taking our carry-on bags and fitting in just what we need. Pack, I would call them separates, so that you can mix and match the clothing items that you're wearing throughout the week. It's okay to rewear a dress for the evening. If you're going to dinner, most of the time, you might go to dinner, come back and change back into something a little bit more comfortable, so you've only had that on for maybe an hour or two. So just rewear it another night. It'll be fine. Trying to think what else I wanted to say. If you're doing the carry-on, make sure you're keeping it under the 3 ounces. If not, one of the things that I started doing is when we get to somewhere, I'll go buy like a cheap shampoo, conditioner. They don't have conditioner on Carnival's bathrooms, so I need conditioner for my hair, but I'll go out and buy some of that cheap somewhere, or even have it delivered. So if you're, again, cruising Carnival, you're allowed to take the 12 packs of soda. You can do the bottle of wine. So I've done grocery or CVS orders delivered to the hotel the night before, so that we have this ready to go for the cruise. TSA. So if you travel, and I'm going to say at least 2 times a year, it is well worth getting TSA Precheck. I believe it's a 4-year you have it for, and it's around like $70. You do have to go to a location to get registered. So most airports you're able to do it there. I went to, actually, it was an insurance office for my TSA Precheck registration. But it comes back, you just add it into your airplane apps when you're booking your flights, and then it'll show up on your boarding pass Precheck. Always make sure that's there before you get to the airport. If it's not there, you can go up to the counter, they can fix it for you. But if you get to the front of the line for TSA and it doesn't say Precheck, they will kick you out of line and send you back to the regular line. But pretty much everywhere I am traveling, again, I'm traveling for work a lot, so I got that as soon as I started traveling for work, but I also made Adam get it because I was not waiting in a regular TSA line again. Just this morning, for example, Sunday morning, it was 6 a.m. at the airport when I got there. The regular in Pittsburgh this morning was 16-minute wait. TSA Precheck, I walked through the queue and directly up to an agent and didn't have to wait at all. So it's worth it. Even the bigger airports, there hasn't been times where I've had to wait longer than maybe 10 minutes in any of those lines if you have Precheck. I think that's about it that I wanted to share today on just planning your travel for cruises. One more thing is also keep in mind when you're actually getting to your port, how are you getting there? So if, for example, you're flying into Port Canaveral and you're staying at a hotel the night before, how are you getting from the airport to the port, and then, or the airport to your hotel, and then from your hotel to the port? One of the things I like to do is try to find one close to one of those places. So again, our next cruise is out of Miami. We're flying into Fort Lauderdale. Our hotel that we stay at when we fly into Fort Lauderdale is the Hilton Garden Inn in Dania Beach. They have a free airport shuttle, so give them a call or just see them circle in the airport, pick you up for free, take you to the hotel. Then I will pay for the Uber from the hotel to the port, or if you want to do the cruise transportation, you just take that free shuttle from the hotel back over to the airport and book the transportation through the cruise line to the port. So keep in mind that part of the cost as well when you're planning out your budget and looking to see what it's going to be to go to these places. You can go right into the app, put in a mock booking. Keep in mind during peak times, the prices will change for Ubers or Lyfts. So, try to pick when If you're cruising on a Sunday and you want to be there for noon, mock it up on a Sunday and see what it shows up being. But yeah, if you have any questions about looking at these things, send me a message, Soar with Sam Travel, and I will be able to take a look, kind of give you an idea of what all you have to think about when planning your budget for these areas. Follow us along on YouTube, Sailing Adventures with Sam and Adam. Follow our videos. We give some of our hints while we're doing things as well. You'll see some of the hotels that we stay at sometimes. And then our transportation to get back and forth. Barcelona, we did a lot of taxis. They said don't trust Ubers, even though they're there in Barcelona. Keep it to the taxis. So just some of those little things that we've discovered along the way that we want to share with you to help your travel experience go as smoothly as possible. Again, thanks for watching. There was no coffee today because it is 9:25 Eastern time and I'm ready for bed, even though it's still bright outside because I'm currently in Wyoming. But good night, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next week on another episode. Bye.
Sailing free, where tales are born.